The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit, and the man seated next to me, of course, is a friendly face you know and love. It's Steve Sabatke. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad to be here for at least one of the movies.
Oh, well, we have four to talk about.
Yeah, so not a good percentage.
I am curious to see which of the four it is and if it lines up with mine. But let's go ahead and get started and talk about some movies and figure it out as we go. The first movie we have is the film that is on the marquee this week. It is Firestarter from director Keith Thomas. This is the remake of the 1984 film, which is also based on a Stephen King novel. This is a movie about a young family with powers. We find that we open the parents, Andy and Vicky McGee, played by Zac Efron and Sidney Lemon, were lab rats years ago, injected with this Lot 6 drug that gave them supernatural powers. Andy gained telepathy, which they call the push, which when he uses it leads to blood pouring out of his eyes, as it will. And Vicky got telekinesis. A lot of the other folks in these trials didn't fare so well. And we cut to a few years down the road, and young daughter Charlie, who in this film is played by Ryan Kira Armstrong, starts to develop some powers on her own. And she has the dangerous power of pyrokinesis. And she has some trouble controlling it. She's a young girl. And when she gets upset, it explodes. Things explode. Her latest outburst has drawn the attention of a secret agency known as the Lab. The head scientist and the leader of the DSI see her as someone who is just too powerful. They send a fellow superhuman man they call Rainbird, played by Michael Greyeyes, to kill her and her family before young Charlie learns how to figure out and harness her powers. And this leads to a bit of a road trip as they try to run from this Terminator that's been sent after them, and things catch fire, and it all culminates in an explosive finale. I gotta say, I rewatched the 1984 version.
Did you? I haven't seen it.
A few years ago, I rewatched it,
Okay.
and we were doing a Stephen King thing, and that one famously, Drew Barrymore, George C. Scott, a big cast of interesting people in it, and it's for a lot of people, it's a cult film. I did not find it super enjoyable, but at least that version had interesting people in it. This movie does not have interesting characters, actors, or much else in it.
Well, I have just one question for you.
Yes.
Why did you make me watch this?
I'm sorry.
Why? I mean, it's Blumhouse, right?
It is.
I mean, you're kind of a big Blumhouse guy.
You know what?
aren't
I
you?
was for a while, but I feel like their rap lately has been trying to make movies on a budget, and it shows.
Well, I mean, who at Blumhouse thought this was a good idea to do this?
I don't know.
I'm not a fan of horror movies, which I told you about when you asked me to first
You did
do the
choose
show.
this week,
I
though.
said, I did choose it. I don't know why I chose it, but and you tell me if I'm wrong or right. I think one of the qualities of a good horror movie is the element of surprise.
Sure.
right?
A little suspense in
Yeah,
there.
I mean, when you get scared, you don't want to expect it. There's no surprises
None.
in this movie. I mean, somebody or someone makes the girl mad, and she starts burning things up.
Yeah.
The acting is absolutely horrible.
It's really bad.
I mean, the girl does her best with what the film gave her. The lead villain, played by Gloria Reuben, who's the head of the lab or the shop, the evil
shop, yeah.
government agency. She's like a Snidely Whiplash cartoon character. The dialogue is laughable. I mean, at one point, the girl says, "Liar, liar, pants on fire." I watched this at home. My guess is when it was set in the theater, probably got a big laugh out of that. There's one scene where she's burning things up in the woods. I wanted Smokey the Bear to come out and tell her to knock it off. And I know we don't want to talk about the ending, and I'm not going to say what it is, but it's awful. And I'm watching this movie, and the ending comes up, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an ending that is made for, I think, a sequel or probably a streaming TV series,
Sure.
a Firestarter series. I mean, like I said, I didn't see the '84 movie because I didn't want to see Gertie,
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore burning
And
things
it's a half
up.
hour longer than this one. as
Yeah,
well.
apparently Stephen King hated the '84 movie.
He hates most of the movies based on his novels because most of them turn out poor.
I don't know how he feels about this one. I mean, they did try to make this one look like a Stephen King film from the '80s,
Yeah.
like Christine. You've got the John Carpenter.
That's the best part of the movie is the John
the music's
Carpenter, but it's basically John Carpenter remaking his previous score.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, he's co-writer of that.
Yeah.
And then the way the credits look, they got that kind of those evilish looking font that they use.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it there in the trailer, but it's just, I was blown away, first off, by how really poor the effects looked. The fire
Yeah.
effects, all that stuff, looked terrible in this movie. I felt like it was a boring film that never really got going. The story of this girl with powers, nobody interested me, and it felt to me like it was a throwback to a time when releasing lazy, crappy movies was still acceptable.
I mean, we're not doing that now?
Oh man, it's so bad, and just zero intensity in this film. It's a
No.
Stephen King movie. No intensity, like you say. Zac Efron phoning it in this movie. And
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I mean, like I said, I told you at the beginning when I first started doing the show, I won't watch horror movies, and I thought, okay,
you broke your rule. And
I
look what
thought,
you got.
I'm going to get nightmares from this. I mean, it was pretty bland.
The only thing that is an upgrade from the previous one is in the previous film, there was a real creepy subplot between Rainbird and Charlie, George C. Scott's character.
Yeah, George C.
It got a
Scott,
real
yeah.
creepy, like,
Okay.
what's he looking at this kid so much for?
Yeah.
But outside of that, this movie is, it's a snooze.
No, it's not good.
All right. Well, this was not the one that you loved. What did you end up giving Firestarter?
Oh, I gave this one charcoal briquette. That's it. I mean, the only redeeming quality of this movie, and you mentioned it, it's 90 minutes long. That's it. I mean, I give it a star for that.
Yeah, and that's what I match with you. I gave it 1 star as well.
star.
It's not a good movie.
Okay.
It's not worth your time. There's nothing here for you. So I say pass on Firestarter, and we move on to what we have on our streaming spotlight this week. What do we have, sir?
I think it's like the complete opposite of Firestarter. It's Sneakerella, directed by Elizabeth Ellen Rosenbaum, and this is found on Disney Plus. Yet another variation of the Cinderella theme, only in this case the gender roles are reversed in that the lead Cinderella character is a male, and that is Elle, played by Chosen Jacobs. He lives in Queens. He works in his late mother's shoe store, which is run by his overworked and harsh stepfather, Trey, who's constantly having him do all the stockroom duties. Elle's stepbrothers, who are just two idiots, continuously mock him and make his job harder. But Elle's dream is to become a famous athletic shoe designer. And while waiting in line for the drop of an athletic shoe, Elle and his friend Sammy meet Kira, who's played by Lexi Underwood. What they don't know about her at the time is that she's the daughter of Darius King, who's played by former NBA star John Sally. He's a sneaker tycoon. So the next day they find out who Kira really is, and Sammy encourages Elle to try to get a unique pair of shoes that he designed, athletic shoes, to be seen by the Kings at an upcoming shoe gala. I guess that is the ball.
Yeah.
Yep. So in the meantime, Elle finds out that his stepfather is selling the shoe store. They're going to be moving back to New Jersey, much to the delight of the stepbrothers. So Elle and Sammy head off to the gala with the help of the kindly neighborhood gardener Gustavo. He is the fairy godfather in the
Correct.
film, but the movie doesn't come right out and characterize him as that. They don't identify him as that, and Elle and Sammy don't really question all the things that are happening
he's
to
got
get them.
magical powers.
Yeah, where all these magical things, where are they coming from? But, of course, Elle's told, you got to get back by midnight, and I'll leave the rest of the story to that. I mean,
It's Cinderella.
Yeah, it's Cinderella. If you know Cinderella, you can probably figure out what's going to happen next. I mean, I thought of this movie as kind of a Hallmark Channel High School Musical type of story. It's a musical. I don't think I mentioned that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songs in this. Some of them are catchy, but most of them are forgettable. I couldn't remember any of them afterwards. There's some Disney nostalgia, as one of the songs is a wish your heart makes, which is from the original animated film. And the movie, it's rated G. It's not going to offend anybody. I think it's going to relate pretty well with young kids. I'm not so sure with middle and high school ages. I don't know if whenever we see these movies, I always ask about your daughter.
Yeah, she was uninterested in seeing this.
She didn't want to see it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No interest at all. Because it feels like Disney comes out with a Cinderella story of some sort or another every 6 months.
Yeah.
They keep revisiting it's a Cinderella story set in this universe or whatever. And it's kind of tired.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's close to 2 hours long. I mean, I was checking my watch at times. They probably, in my opinion, they could have cut some of the songs out to tighten it up a bit. I mean, some of the musical numbers are kind of neat. I mean, the neighborhood is very colorful.
It felt to me like a bit of a knockoff Lin-Manuel Miranda in the Heights.
See, you beat me to it.
Yeah,
in the Heights.
I mean, set in Queens, a lot of
That's
the
right.
music was very like,
Yep.
wait, was this song in the Heights?
The dancing in the streets, the
Yeah.
colorful neighborhood, the people. I mean, it does remind you of that.
That's not on accident, I'm sure.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. I mean, I do like the twists in the format, which I think has been done to death. I also like the fact that they've got a very diverse cast in this, so that I think is a good thing. I mean, I could identify a bit with this story because my grandfather and my father ran a shoe store in Beaver Dam, and I worked there.
Did they lock you in the back room?
They didn't. No, they didn't lock me in the back room, and I don't remember going to a Beaver Dam shoe gala.
Oh, you must have missed out.
I missed out on that. So,
Yeah, I feel like even Disney has already done this movie. A few years back, they did a movie called Rags, which was a gender swap Cinderella story.
Oh, okay, sure.
And I thought some of this movie is just kind of silly, like when the fairy godfather shows up and the big shoes. Everyone at the gala is talking about Elle and who's this mystery guy with these crazy shoes that light up. And I was like, those look like shoes that my kids wore when they were toddlers and they got light up shoes.
You didn't think they were unique?
And I'm like, everyone in the world is buzzing. Who is this guy with these shoes? And I'm like, okay, it's Cinderella story, whatever, it's fine. The musical numbers were fine. Like I said, they felt like a lot of knockoff Lin-Manuel Miranda. I really like the character of Sammy, Elle's friend, who like believed in him, saw more in Elle than he did in himself, was pushing Elle, trying to get Elle. She made things happen. I liked that character. And I thought most of the cast was really putting in an effort outside of maybe John Sally. No, not an actor.
He's done some work before, but not a lot. No. I think he needs some acting lessons.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If you need someone to throw elbows, it's John Sally. But maybe not carry a movie. But I think the movie's fine. It's just, I don't know. I wasn't blown away by it. I wasn't offended by it like I was with Firestarter. I don't know. I don't need to see any more Cinderella movies, though. I'll tell you that. I'm good.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be more.
I know there are. There's another one coming around the corner, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's a nice, pleasant, G-rated film. The whole family can watch it. Pretty forgettable after you watch it.
All right, what is
That's
that?
about it.
What is that? What kind of?
I
score
wish
does
I
that
could
earn
be
then?
a little bit more excited about it. I gave it 3 stars.
All right,
I mean,
that's fair.
I felt bad kind of going less than that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have the guilty conscience then. I give it 2 stars.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's fine. Like it's all right. I did forget about it immediately, and outside of the song that I've known my entire life, nothing else hung in my head.
Yeah.
But,
I feel bad now. I was the one who suggested that we watch this one.
That's all right. That's all right. We all suffer for our craft. All right. Let's move on with the next film we have for our streaming spotlight this week. We turn to Netflix for a film called Operation Mincemeat from director John Madden. Boom. He's bringing us a film about the actual events during World War II in which British agents came up with a plan to fool Hitler and allow them to capture Sicily kind of undetected. Plan is hatched to find a recent corpse and give him a fake identity, some fake battle plans, and official papers, and then have this soldier wash up in Spain in hopes that the Nazis who are occupying there will discover the fake plans and take the bait. One of the main guys in this film is Ewan Montague, played by Colin Firth. And it's kind of a long, tedious plan that runs into snags everywhere as they're trying to get this to happen, as you have a dead body just sitting around waiting to be used. There's things that happen amid top secret circumstances. There's spies and there's counter spies everywhere, so you got to be very careful about who knows what. And I thought was very interesting too is the plan was helped. One of the guys who helped hatch this plan in real life was Ian Fleming.
Yep.
Who you may know as the man who created the character of James Bond, and he was an agent during World War II at that time. And it feels like Colin Firth. This is his territory. Like, we need a World War II British spy movie.
Right.
Get Colin Firth. I found a lot of this film lacked tension, though.
Really?
I did.
Oh,
I felt like
wow.
the first 2/3 of this movie, I was looking for more tension than was there. I don't know.
I didn't know the history of this event during World War II, and so I didn't know how this was going to end. I mean, I kind of had an idea of how it was going to end, but I didn't know for sure, so that added to the enjoyment. But whoever thought that waiting for a telegram or whatever it was they were waiting for, the machine that types...
little ticker tape thing,
Ticker tape, teletype thing.
Yeah.
They're waiting for some kind of message to see if their plan worked. I thought that was suspenseful. I really did. I mean, I thought there was tension in that. And, I like the fact that they had this idea. So now they have to implement it. And along the way, they run into these problems. And so they have to solve those problems. And it's very detailed, and it really goes step by step through this process. Because they have to do it because the corpse is not going to look good after a while. So to me, I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if it was necessarily suspenseful or tense, but I really was very interested in that. I love that they threw in some humor. I mean, there's a scene where they're trying to take a picture of the corpse sitting up.
Right.
I thought that was hilarious.
I agree.
And there's a few more scenes like that. I know some people might get bored at, okay, now they got to do this, and then they got to go to this step, and then this roadblock comes up. I wasn't bored at all. I mean, this is the movie I was talking about at the beginning.
I'm figuring that out.
Could you
I'm a good
get that?
detective.
This is it. I really enjoyed this. I love these British historical dramas. I thought it was well acted.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah,
my big issue is that I felt like every time it was getting traction, like I agree with you. I enjoy what some people might call the tedious steps. I enjoyed that. I was just waiting for more stakes to be involved in especially the first third of the movie. Like, okay, and it felt like every time they really started to get traction with something, they would veer off into this unnecessary romantic storyline.
Oh, see, now I differ with you on that one too.
I just did not care for that, especially when we really got going. Like, why do we need to return to the romantic storyline? I think there's some really interesting things in here, and anything involving Nazis around every corner is interesting to me. And I don't know, I would have taken my editing pen and started marking out some scenes that veered off from the main plot.
Yeah, you've got that supposed love triangle between the Colin Firth character, the Matthew McFadden character, and Kelly MacDonald, who I thought was fantastic in this. She plays the quote-unquote love interest. I think she's one of the most underrated actresses working today. I mean, I don't know if that actually happened in history. I don't know. But I really thought it added to the story.
Really? Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I thought it was a detriment myself.
Really? I thought, I kind of like that balance and that back and forth between they're working on this, now they're going to go to the club or something at night to get a drink, and you've got this, this interest by Colin Firth with this woman, even though he's got his wife and his family back in the States, and he's kind of struggling with that. I really liked, the relationship between Firth's character and the Matthew McFadden character.
Yeah, I like them.
They didn't like each other.
Yeah.
They didn't trust each
I
other.
thought they were very interesting.
But they had to work together. They knew that they had to get this job done because they got Churchill breathing down their necks, and they got this other guy who was played, and I can't think of the character and the name of the actor.
Is that Jeremy Strong's character?
No. I can picture him. I should have wrote it down.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
But they're under a lot of pressure to get this done, and I know a lot of people have made a big deal out of it's the two Mr. Darcys that are in the film together because they apparently both played Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. So that was interesting. I really liked Penelope Wilson, who played Colin Firth's secretary, Hester. I thought she was great. And you mentioned the Ian Fleming character. There's one scene where he's typing away while they're all kind of waiting for some news, and Colin yells at him, "What are you typing?" And he's going, "Oh, some sort of spy novel or something." Yeah.
Now, this movie actually did make me. I did a little reading about it and about the actual events.
Okay.
And what I see is that there was a film that came out in 1956. Almost immediately after, not long after the actual events, a movie called The Man Who Never Was.
Okay.
Which didn't have, the only thing was they were so close that they didn't have a lot of the things that were classified at the time were unknown to them. But I hear it's a great movie, and it's made me go and track this movie down.
Okay.
Which I am curious to check out.
All right. Wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
But this one looks great. The costumes, the scenery. I love these old school British war dramas. Kind of reminds me of those black and white films of the 40s and the 50s. I was really entertained by it.
This is the one.
This is it. Yeah.
All right. What does old Operation Mincemeat get from you, Mr. Sabat?
I gave it 4 stars.
Nice.
Great war drama without the war violence.
Yeah. I gave it 3 stars, I believe. Yeah. I enjoy it. I enjoy anything Colin Firth is doing. I just wanted some more. Wanted my pulse to raise a little bit more. That's all.
Okay.
So let's move into what we have for our final film in our streaming spotlight segment. What do you have for us?
All right, it's on Netflix. It's called Senior Year. It's directed by Alex Hardcastle. This story begins in 2002 with Stephanie, played by Anjali Rice. She's the most popular girl in her high school. She's the captain of the cheerleading squad. She dates the most popular boy in school, and she's on her way to becoming the prom queen. She has it all until she falls off, I think you just saw it. She falls off the top of the cheerleading pyramid at a pep rally and goes into a coma. Fast forward 20 years later to the year 2022, Stephanie wakes up from her coma as a 37-year-old woman played by Rebel Wilson. She is a medical miracle because apparently she suffered no effects of the coma physically. She's just ready to go. And she literally wants to pick up where she left off. She wants to go back to high school for the last month of school to try to assume her role as the star of this school. So instead of figuring out what she wants to do for the rest of her life as a 37-year-old, she decides she wants to be popular again in school, become the captain of the cheerleaders, and be named prom queen all in 1 month. Finds out along the way that one of her best friends from high school is now the principal of the school, and another friend is the school librarian. She also learns that her main competition at school for being most popular is a girl named Bree. She just happens to be the daughter of Tiffany, who was Stephanie's rival at school when she was 17. And also Tiffany is married to the guy that Stephanie was dating 20 years ago.
The circle did not expand very far in 20 years.
I mean, can you keep track of all that?
The guy who used to have a crush on her in high school also works at the school. Everyone's close to the school.
Yeah, it's like everybody's within that circle. So, just as the Rebel Wilson character was in a coma for 20 years, I think the theme of this movie has also been in a coma for at least that amount of time. This film seems like it would have been a better fit for the 80s or the 90s. It really seemed very dated to me. I mean, how many adults going back to school movies have there been now?
She's the Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, there's been a ton. And by the way, if I would have gone back to high school at 37, I can guarantee you that most, if not all of the students would have been thinking, dude, what are you doing here? They would have probably thought I was an undercover cop.
Right, you're definitely a narc.
And they wouldn't have associated with me at all. Where here, it seemed to be fairly easy.
Well, it helped that her best friend was the principal. Mary Holland, her best friend, helps her ease in, I guess. So Rebel Wilson is someone who I don't think is everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
And she makes me laugh. Her irrational confidence, I think, is what I enjoy. This is also back-to-back films now. This and Isn't It Romantic that came out a couple years ago that also featured head trauma as the main plot line to get her into the story.
So that's her niche.
I
Okay.
guess so.
Wow.
I did think it was interesting some of the themes though that they presented were coming from 2002 and how she quickly discovered that teen culture now is all about how many followers you have and going viral matters and this whole new way of thinking and kind of presenting the idea that teens now have so much more access to info and they seem so much older and more informed. But is that age of social media hurting them? Is it making them better prepared for life? I kind of like those themes that they just kind of touched on with like the Brie Loves character and such.
I mean, but that was the only, I would have liked to have seen more references to how much had changed from 2002 to 20 years later. I mean, obviously they do the cell phones, social media. She holds up a copy of Rolling Stone magazine and says, "Since when did Madonna become Lady Gaga?" I wish there would have been more of those.
It's like all high school movies. At the end, we got a dance. We got lots of choreographed dance numbers. You have some stunt casting at the end with someone who was a star of one of these films back in the 90s to kind of call back to one of the great high school comedies of that era.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Rebel Wilson made me laugh out loud several times.
Really?
Here. She did.
I didn't think she was that funny.
I laughed out loud watching this with my wife.
To me, the other characters had funnier moments, like the principal.
Mary Holland, I love Sam Richardson, who plays Seth in this. I think they're very funny as well.
And actually, the character that made me laugh the most was the father.
Oh, Chris Parnell.
Chris Parnell from Saturday Night Live. There were a couple of scenes that made me laugh. To me, this movie can't make up its mind between whether it's R-rated or PG-13.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's rated R. It's a mild R. I think as long as they were going to go R, they should have went full-on R, made it edgier, like old school.
Yeah.
Because I think Wilson
they
excels
still wanted
in that.
to go for a teen audience.
Yeah,
too.
I understand that. But I think Wilson is funnier when she's in that type of a film.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Part of it, too, is I watched a lot of, I was telling you before the show, I watched a lot of bad stuff this week. And I felt like this was a refreshing comedy. And I was
watch
ready
more
to
than
laugh.
Firestarter?
Oh,
Okay.
man, did I watch a lot of bad this week.
Okay.
And outside of what we're talking about today. And I found myself laughing at this movie. So I got a feeling you and I are going to be a little ways apart on this one. But
Okay.
what did you end up giving?
I gave it 2 stars. I didn't think there was anything new or original here.
Buddy, this got 3.5 stars out of me.
Wow.
It got
Okay.
some laughs. I love
Now that's
high school
funny.
comedy.
That's funny.
Hey. All right, let's quickly take a look ahead at what is coming out the weekend of May 27th. We have 2 films on the marquee that week. First off, film that everyone has been looking forward to, film that's been looking forward to for several years. It's Top Gun Maverick. Maverick returns to the hot seat. And action is going to happen in the skies. I'm very much looking forward to this. And then we have a film spun off of an animated TV series, the Bob's Burgers movie, which is a TV show that I greatly enjoy. So hopefully this is something fun. But those are the films of May 27th. Before we leave you, though, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring this program. We love a Dream Lounger. I'm going to be pinned back in my seat watching Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer and everybody do their thing. And I wouldn't have it any other way than to be in that beautiful Dream Lounger. So thank you for sponsoring the program. Next week, I'm going to be talking about films such as the Downton Abbey movie, Alex Garland's Men. We'll also have a streaming spotlight of The Valet. And I'll be joined by Michael Selesky to do all of that. Sir, before we go, thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you.
Sorry for the pain that you were put through this week.
Oh, I still enjoy doing this
Oh,
despite
good.
that.
All
so.
right, this isn't the last one. All right. Well, until next week, I'm Jamison.
And I'm Steve.
Thanks for watching.